All right, folks, coming up on Roland Unfiltered for Monday, March 4th, 2019. More injustice in regards to police killing unarmed black men in Sacramento. No charges for the cops who shot and killed Stephon Clarke in his grandparents' backyard. Also, no federal civil rights charges for the Oklahoma police officer who shot and killed Terrence Crutcher while he had his hands up. We'll talk to his sister, Dr. Tiffany Crutcher, on the show. Part one of the HBO documentary charging Michael Jackson with being a pedophile is pissing off the Jackson family. They are upset and they plan to sue HBO. We'll talk to Michael's nephew, Taj Jackson, live from the UK. Former Attorney General Eric Holder says he is not running for president. Bernie Sanders is running for president, but as a Democrat, but he also filed to run as a senator as an independent. He stopped by the Breakfast Club to share his thoughts on his black agenda. I was in Selma this weekend for the 54th commemoration of Bloody Sunday, and we captured some great folks talking about various issues, including Reverend William Barber, Hillary Clinton, Shirley Eiffel, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and Senator Cory Booker. We'll share all of that with you. And the head of the United Negro College Fund, Michael Lomax, is here to tell us which of our folks in Congress are doing right by HBCUs. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, it was about a year ago when two Sacramento police officers shot and killed Stephon Clarke in his grandparents' backyard. Well, on Friday, the Sacramento County DA, Anne Marie Schubert, announced that officers Terrence Mercado and Jared Robinette acted within the law when they shot and killed 22-year-old Clarke 7 times. The killing has sparked days of protests in Sacramento, including one that blocked fans out of a Sacramento basketball game. This decision brought on 2 days of protest over the weekend and shut down a shopping mall. An independent autopsy concluded Clarke was shot from behind, but the state's autopsy concluded he was shot from the front. The officers said Clarke was coming towards them with what they thought was a gun. In fact, it was a cell phone. His family has filed a $20 million lawsuit alleging the officers used racial profiling and excessive force. Clarke's brother, Stephon Clarke, 25, has filed paperwork to raise money to run for the mayor of Sacramento in 2020. Now, this weekend, we also found out that Terrence Crutcher, the former cop who shot and killed him in Tulsa, Oklahoma, she will not be facing any federal charges by the Department of Justice.
He's got his hands up there for her now. Mike, I'm going to hit the recorder. This guy's still walking and following commands.
Not for taser, I think.
Got a feeling that's about to happen.
That looks like a bad dude, too, to be honest with you.
Which way are they facing?
Police 1, they're facing westbound. I think he may have just been tasered.
Shots fired!
Ooh.
321, we have shots fired. We have one suspect down. We need MC here.
Now, former Tulsa cop Betty Shelby was the one who shot and killed Crutcher. You could tell by the video. He was walking slowly, hands up in the air. Now, the cops tasered him before Shelby decided to fire one shot, killing him. A jury acquitted Shelby of any wrongdoing in May of 2017, but the Department of Justice investigated whether Shelby violated Crutcher's civil rights. Now, this is the only way feds can get involved in any police shootings because murder is a state crime. while violating a person's civil rights is a federal crime. Now, we also learned this took place, of course, on Friday. The U.S. Attorney for Oklahoma, Trent Shores, said in a statement that after investigations by the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, his office, and the FBI, there was insufficient evidence to pursue federal civil rights charges. Now, here's the problem here. First of all, remember when Eric Holder, when he was the attorney for the Attorney General, one of the things that he said is that there should be changes to lower the threshold. Said it was very difficult for the Department of Justice to pursue many of these cases because of the high standard that was involved. Of course, many people are still shocked and disappointed by this decision, and of course, the initial shooting itself, especially when you look at, of course, Terrence Crutcher, how he was walking with his hands up. Joining us right now is Terrence Crutcher's sister. Glad to certainly have her on the show, as well as the attorney Demario Simmons. First of all, Dr. Terry, this is has to be difficult. Again, when you look at that video, and he's walking slowly, his hands are up, and she still fires.
Absolutely. I had to actually turn away from the video, Roland, when you just played it, because to stir up these emotions, it's really difficult. And I'm just so disappointed about what happened on Friday with the DOJ flying into Tulsa and telling us that they were not going to bring charges, because my expectations were a lot different. And it devastated me. I was really low the last few days. So it's been very difficult for my family these past few days.
And first of all, were you called ahead of time by the DOJ, by the U.S. Attorney, to let you know that they were not going to pursue these charges?
No, we were not. We just got a call saying, hey, we want to meet with you. And they brought in the whole team, the FBI, the U.S. Attorney for the state of Oklahoma, and people flew in from the DOJ, our attorneys. And they brought us into a conference room at the U.S. Attorney's office and shared with us that they went through an extensive investigation, went through the state records with a fine-tooth comb, and just talked about how strict the statute was and why they came up with the decision. And they allowed us to ask as many questions as we needed to ask. But again, it was very devastating.
Demario, I want to go to you. Again, the family's pursuing that lawsuit. What is the status of that?
Well, first of all, Roland, we appreciate you continuing covering this case. You've been there from day one, as you are in our community overall. So we thank you for that. We do have a civil rights lawsuit currently pending in the Northern District of Oklahoma. We feel very strong that we will have an opportunity to prove that Betty Shelby did violate Terrence's civil rights. As you stated, the video is very, very clear that Terrence was walking away. His hands was in the air. He was not an imminent threat. He was at a safe distance, and Betty Shelby has several officers around her. Unfortunately, our civil case is on what's called a stay, which is basically a pause. Our federal judge has stayed the case as we litigate what's called qualified immunity. So this is an important point, because not only do we need to lower the threshold of the criminal statute, which is 18 U.S.C. 242, we also need to get rid of this thing called qualified immunity, which is something that's made up by the judges, the judicial branch. It's not in the actual statute, the 1983 statute that we utilize to sue police officers or police departments. But this is basically an impediment that makes it very, very, very difficult to be able to sue these officers. And that's why over 98% of these cases are actually lost at the summary judgment stage on qualified immunity. So one of the things that Tiffany and I and Benjamin Crump, my co-counsel and mentor, we're looking forward, along with Reverend Al, who we talked to yesterday, Reverend Al Sharpton, to come to D.C. and start lobbying to have the threshold lowered on the criminal side, and also for the Congress to do something about eradicating qualified immunity from the civil side.
So, Demario, let me ask you this here. When you talk about what is next? We see these over and over. I can't remember the last time DOJ even pursued any civil rights charges against a police officer.
Well, the only time I can recall in my lifetime is the Walter Scott case out of South Carolina, where Mr. Scott was running from the officer and the officer shot him 6 or 7 times in the back. And I tell you, Roland, I don't think the DOJ would have actually prosecuted that officer if that would not have been on video of the officer after shooting Mr. Scott, taking the taser and planting it next to Mr. Scott's dead body. I think that was something that they almost had to bring charges. But beyond that, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, Jordan Crawford, Mike Brown, the list goes on and on. These cases are never brought because the system, beyond the anti-Black bias that we know exists in the U.S. justice system, the structure of the law is set up so you can have these very disappointing but very, these outcomes are going to come. So you're disappointed, but you're not surprised.
We now know that, of course, Betty Shelby is training other officers how to respond to these situations. Really? That has to be an insult to you and your family.
Oh, man, just pouring salt on an open wound. And I don't know if everyone knows, Roland, that here recently we just found out that Betty Shelby had a past. The playbook is to vilify and assassinate the character of the victims. But we never delved into the past of police officers. And Betty Shelby had several restraining orders filed against her. Betty Shelby, actually, the TPD, the actual agency that hired her, came out to her ex-husband's home and had to do a report titled Assault with a Deadly Weapon. Yet they hired her anyway. She should have never had a gun. Her own children took her to court for child abuse. But this lady was hired by TPD, and they unleashed this killer cop onto our community. But that was never brought up in the criminal trial, and they're saying nothing about it. But it's another shot fired, and it's devastated to know if she didn't slide through the cracks, my brother might be alive today. She has a history of violence.
And Roland, this is what's really scary to individuals like Betty Shelby. There are so many of them across this country out here patrolling our neighborhoods in particular who should never be police officers. And then when you see an individual like Betty Shelby is able to get a job and work in law enforcement again, when she's shown that she does not have the capacity, the temperament, or the skill set to be an officer, to have the power of our government to arrest people, to search people, and unfortunately, as in this case, to shoot and kill people, it is a very scary thought to know that those officers like Betty Shelby are still in our community.
And can I just jump in and say this? This whole federal statute about they have to prove willful intent, that she intentionally intended to kill Terrence. She made it very clear. I don't know if you all saw the 60 Minutes interview, but she stated that he made me do it. And I told him to stop and he wouldn't. I can't believe he made me do it and he's responsible for his own death. So, that's what you have to prove. I believe that she said it. She intended to kill him, because not complying or not stopping, getting on the ground is no reason to shoot someone dead. So it's really frustrating.
All right, then. Well, Dr. Tiffany, I appreciate it. Demario, thanks a bunch as well. We certainly will continue to follow this case and seek justice for Terrence Crutcher.
Thank you, Roland.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a bunch, folks. Going to a break. We'll be back. We'll talk about HBCUs and what folks in Congress, which members of Congress are doing right by HBCUs and those who are not. Plus, Taj Jackson, the nephew of Michael Jackson, is here to respond to the first part of the HBO documentary, Leaving Neverland. It has the Jackson family angry with HBO and the folks who accuse of Michael Jackson of being a pedophile. That is next on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
No one can figure out your worth but you. Entertainer Pearl Bailey.
All right, folks, our hashtag HBCU Giving Day School of the Day is Wiley College, located in Marshall, Texas. Founded in 1873, notable graduates include James Farmer, Henrietta Bell Wells, Heman Marion Sweat, James Wheaton, Thelma DeWitty, and many more. If you want to support Wiley, please go to Wiley, WILEYC.edu. That's WILEYC.edu. And especially all you Wiley College graduates, because remember, one of the issues that we have is that HBCU graduates are frankly not giving enough to their schools, so we certainly want you to do that. And if there's another school that you want to support, please do so by giving and supporting our HBCUs. All right, folks, calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders. Enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. Now, the deadline to apply is March 31st, 2019. That means y'all got 24 days to apply. Go to FGB.Life, FGB.Life for more information and to apply. Remember, Ford goes further in our community, and we certainly thank Ford Cares for being a partner here with us at Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right, folks. Now, you know we often talk about historically black colleges and universities and how critically important they are. The UNCF now has created a scorecard to be able to, so you can see how senators, your senators, and members of Congress are supporting HBCUs. Joining us right now to talk about this scorecard is Michael Lomax. He's the president of the United Negro College Fund. Dr. Lomax, glad to have you here.
It's great to be with you, Roland.
So let's talk scorecard. So
let's talk scorecard. Hey, I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
You said all those wonderful things about Wiley College, and you didn't say Melvin B. Tolson and the home of the great debaters.
Well, put that on Chelsea. Chelsea, you the one. Didn't you put together the HBCU thing? Yes. Okay, blame Chelsea for that.
Hey,
she screwed it up.
Just remember Melvin B. Tolson, who brought debating to Wiley College.
Yep.
And then that's the home of the great debaters. Another reason for it to be the school of the day.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Chelsea, you screwed up. Damn it. All right. So you lucky I ain't say put the camera on you. All right, then. So the scorecard. Why did y'all want to do this?
You know, in politics and in life, everybody says they're your friend. Everybody says they believe in you and they support you. But, there are those who actually stand with you in times of need and assist you in real, palpable ways. And we believe that, first of all, we've had such a great 2 years in Washington because of the active, incredible support that we've gotten from a number of members of Congress. And we just felt like it was time for UNCF to do something that nobody else has done, and that is actually to make a list of the people who have made a difference for HBCUs, who's helped us get over $100 million out of it.
Not just make a difference, but also to show those who have not. And so the purpose of scorecards is to be able to say, okay, on the initiatives that you care about, where do members rank?
Yes.
So who gets top grades?
Well, let me just say, the top group, composed of now 55 individuals, is the Congressional Black Caucus.
All right.
And without the Congressional Black Caucus, HBCUs would not have the level of support that they have enjoyed historically and that we've had.
Now, this is the scorecard right here?
This is this one? No, this is what we were going to base the scorecard on. This is the things we were seeking in the last Congress.
So this is the honor roll.
Yes, that is the honor roll.
So did you put grades, or what did you do?
No, now we introduced this initially by creating an honor roll. These are the individuals. Give me my honor roll back, please.
Well, who the folks who failed? I need the folks who failed.
No. I'm the guest here.
No, you got a scorecard.
No.
I mean, look. If somebody in your class ain't doing right, they get an F.
No, I don't. Can we begin by accentuating the positive?
Right. That's the A's. That's the A's.
And let me tell you. Let me just tell you the basis upon which. And let me just tell you. You are not. I am the teacher. You are the student.
No. No. Remember, you might be the teacher. I'm the principal.
All right. All right, get out of here. All right. So, but you know, these are the people, and you know the difference. These are the people who, when you said we need a letter circulated, you signed your name on that letter supporting a piece of legislation. These are the individuals who made speeches on the floor, or before committees. These are the people who joined the bipartisan HBCU caucus and worked with Alma Adams to make sure that we got matters through. And these are the people who truly served as the champions to help us get an increase in funding for HBCUs, to increase services to low-income students who worked in behalf of those pieces of legislation, and importantly, people who worked in behalf of the first criminal justice legislation that we've seen come through the Congress.
So your scorecard is not like the NAACP scorecard, where they actually do grades for each member based upon the legislation.
Well, we felt that it was important, first of all, to begin to introduce the notion that we are, in fact, going to give information and give recognition to people who have achieved in behalf of HBCUs. And we also felt that in the initial report that we would give, we wanted to do this qualitatively. We wanted to be able to say, these are the kinds of things that people did, and this is what we held them accountable for. In future years, as we get clarity and precision around how we will award numerical numbers, then we may introduce the numerical as well. But I also just want to say on this, passing legislation, getting appropriations is a complicated process. It involves a lot of steps. And, you know, we have people who are on this list who managed to get something through a committee, but may not have voted for the full legislation on the floor. They got it where it needed to be, but because there was something wrong in the legislation on principle, they couldn't vote for all the other things, the poison pills that were in it. So we want to, before we introduce numerics, we want to be absolutely certain that we have agreement that not only on what should be evaluated numerically, but that the people who are going to be evaluated, who have demonstrated their support, believe that we're doing it accurately. Because the worst thing to do is to put out false information, to put out misinformation, to put out partial information. We're not going to do that.
So where can folks see the scorecard?
Where can folks see the scorecard? They can go to the UNCF. They can go to uncf.org. What do you call it? Hashtag.
Right.
No, it's
slash.
Backslash. HBCU scorecard. You go to that, and you will not only see the individual names, you'll see the photographs of the members. You'll see, and you'll learn more about them. And then not only will you see that, but in a couple of weeks you will have a page for each of those members, and there'll be more detailed information about the support that they're providing to UNCF.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, we appreciate it. Thanks for coming, dropping by, giving us the information on the scorecard.
And let me just say, this is very consequential, and so that your viewers are now going to know who stood with Bennett College, who stood with Payne, who stood with all HBCUs on getting additional funding, who stood with low-income students and helped us get more Pell funding. And tomorrow...
So on that list, who stood, but who didn't stand?
Well, you know, brother, if you're not on the list, you must not have been...
No, I want to be sure, because again, though, there are people who are single-issue candidates. And so being able to judge candidates based upon this issue or others, I think is critically important.
Well, you know, we are providing the information. We're getting there. We're going to probably get more detailed as we go forward. But, you know, you don't...
Those details I want to see.
Well, yeah, all right.
No, because here's the piece. In Randall Robinson's book, The Debt, he talked... Maynard Jackson had, which who you knew very well.
And I knew Randall Robinson very well.
And first of all, Randall's still here, so we can't talk past tense.
Well, I knew him.
And Maynard Jackson had this idea of a card.
Yeah.
And that would be two-sided, that would be distributed to Black America and say, here are the various issues. And so whenever we would encounter a politician, it would be, okay, where do you stand on this?
Yeah.
I think it is important for us, whether they are Democrat or Republican, whether they are white, Black, Asian, Latino, does not matter, for folks to realize that, wait a minute, if that's my member of Congress, that's my senator, to be able to say, hey, where do you stand on these issues? And being able to have that. So, for instance, I'm born and raised in Texas. I still vote there. I want to know exactly where Senator Ted Cruz and where Senator John Cornyn stand. So when I roll up on them, my deal would be like, yo, what the hell? How are you supporting TSU and Prairie View and Wiley? And so, and that's why I'm saying that. And then if somebody is doing well and they got an A, hey, appreciate you standing for HBCU.
Yes. And first, let me just say, I know Randall, I knew Max, and so I Robinson. So I a little confused, wasn't expecting to hear those names. You know, I worked for and with Maynard, and learned a great deal from him. Maynard was a powerful elected official, and you know he was unequivocal in his approach. We are a nonprofit, nonpartisan 501c3. So we are going to be quite careful that everything that we do is within the bounds of the nonprofit. So,
but you could still be a 501c3 and say, here's a bill, who supported and who didn't. That's just a fact. That's not
all right. Well,
that's not partisan.
I understand that the perfect may on occasion be the enemy of the good. I think that our honor roll is a very good first step on telling the story and putting on paper who are the people who are supporting HBCUs. And it's going to be, I hope, a clarion call to all members of Congress that they have an opportunity to be on the HBCU honor roll next
and those
year.
who not on that list need to be jacked up.
See, he wants an NRA type list.
Yeah.
He wants to see the F.
No. I want to, no. I go back to in early 2000s when I covered, when the NAACP did their scorecards. Yeah. When they go to their convention, they would announce their scorecards for the automotive industry, for the hotel industry. And I remember that there were people in the hotel industry who said, yo, we had a C last year. We want to be in the A's and B's.
Just remember, we're talking now not about industries. We're talking about elected officials.
Yes, the folks who we vote for.
And I also recall that there were occasions, there was one occasion when there were challenges to, and people raising issues about whether the NAACP had gone outside of its nonprofit status. We're not going to put ours at risk.
Well, they didn't.
They didn't, but they took a lot of grief. You know.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes you got to call some folk out in order for get their attention.
We're going to let you be our media leader.
That's why I want the grades.
And I'm going to be our nonprofit fundraising.
I want to know. You can do all the fundraising you want to.
All the friends he can make.
I'm trying to get you more money.
All right. Well,
so I want to know who got F's, who got D's, and who got C's, so we can call them out to move them to the A's and B's.
Well, I move them, my brother.
But I got to know who got F's first. And so I need to see that scorecard, who got an F. So this is the first one. That's nice. Honor roll. Yeah. That's great. But just like when you go to school, they put the honor roll people on the wall. They say all this sort of stuff. But in the classroom, they're like, your last got an F. And so you ain't trying to be in the F category because you don't want to get left behind. And so now you look at your classmates in the 5th grade and you back in the 4th grade.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, I will say this. I've just never, I have known Roland Martin for these many years, and I have never met his goals entirely, but I'm working toward it.
That's right. Just like Maya Angelou said, she says, I would never call myself a Christian because I'm constantly aspiring to get to that point. And so my point is, if they ain't supporting HBCUs, we got to call them out. Just like I'm calling North Carolina out, and I'm talking to you, Tillis and Barr as well, how they split North Carolina A&T into 3 congressional districts. How are you going to split the largest HBCU on campus into 3 districts because they scared that voting power of those students in North Carolina A&T? So I'm just saying. That's just a fact.
You're just saying.
Just a fact. Just a fact. All right, Doc.
All right, brother.
I want to see them F's and them D's. All right. We appreciate it, y'all. Check out the UNCF scorecard. And don't forget to support your favorite UNCF school and HBCU, because some of them are also public as well. And also PBIs like Chicago State. So it's all about getting our kids educated.
Amen to that.
All right. Thanks a bunch, Doc.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Now let's talk about, of course, last night, a lot of people were tuned in to HBO for the first part of the 2-part series, docu-series focusing on Michael Jackson, allegations of pedophilia. Man, social media was up in an uproar last night. They got mad with me even asking a question, are y'all gonna watch? Here is clips from the docuseries.
Everybody wanted to meet Michael or be with Michael. And then he likes you.
I was 7 years old. Michael asked, do you and the family want to come to Neverland?
We drive in and forget about all your problems. You were in Neverland. It was a fantasy.
The days were filled with magical childhood adventure experiences. Playing tag, watching movies, eating junk food, anything you could ever want as a child.
It's like hanging out with a friend that's more your age.
Just kid things. They were just doing kid things. He just came across as a loving, caring, kind soul. It was easy to believe that he was just that.
Out of a storybook, right? Out of a fairy tale.
Hello, Wade. Today is your birthday, so congratulations. I love you. Goodbye.
There's no thoughts of this is wrong or anything like that.
He told me if they ever found out what we were doing, he and I would go to jail for the rest of our lives.
Secrets will eat you up. You feel so alone.
I want to be able to speak the truth as loud as I had to speak the lie for so long.
All right, folks, part 2 premieres tonight with Oprah Winfrey sitting down with the accusers and the filmmaker Dan Reed immediately after to discuss how this has impacted their lives. She's even getting lots of criticism for saying it's time to essentially cancel Michael Jackson. Joining us right now is Taj Jackson. Taj is the nephew of Michael Jackson, also the son of Tito Jackson. So Taj, you're in the UK right now. Certainly welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered. A lot of people are disturbed by what they heard in this documentary. Folks have said no grown man should have been sleeping with kids, should not have been around kids. And so how is the Jackson family dealing with this documentary and bringing up again the allegations that have been leveled against Michael Jackson, even though he was previously found not guilty?
It's been really hard. It's, we don't feel like we have a platform, so I do appreciate you letting me do this. I feel like we're screaming to the wall in a way, and for me, it's really frustrating because I know Wade very well, and I know what he's doing. I know his agenda, and I see through it. Just like you can see people that and you see them on TV. I have a couple of friends on reality shows right now that I can't watch because I know they're acting. Well, that's what this felt like.
And there have been a number of people who said, first of all, that these gentlemen testified in Michael's trial, saying that he did not do these things. Now they say he did do these things.
As an adult. They testified as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, because
I
just watched.
Go ahead.
He made it sound like he testified. Yeah, he made it sound like he testified as a kid. He testified as a grown adult, claiming that he didn't know things were wrong at that point when not only the DA was after him, my uncle, but was trying to nail him on anything. He asked repeatedly, did Michael touch you here? Did Michael touch you there? And here's the thing. Wade Robson was the first defense witness on the stand. Do you think if my uncle molested him for 7 years, he'd put him on the stand as his first witness? I mean, that's the dumbest thing you could possibly do in front of all those sheriffs and all those people.
So you're saying
place he could be.
You're saying Wade was a witness for Michael Jackson and not the prosecution?
He was the first defense witness, the very first defense witness. Through all the cross-examination, he was very firm and very, very truthful. Now, because he got kicked out of Cirque du Soleil, he wanted to be the head choreographer for MJ1. He was praising him all the way up to that point. You can watch any clips from YouTube and whatever. The reason why we're mad is because it's a timeline thing. He's up there praising him. He's dancing behind Janet Jackson at the VMAs, talking about how inspirational Michael Jackson was. But then all of a sudden he doesn't get the MJ1 job, and then he starts writing a book about sexual abuse. So, that's not me saying that. That's fact. And he secretly writes it. No publisher would publish it. So then he tries to sue the estate under seal, and they say, no, we're not suing. You can't do that. And so he has to come public with it. So that's why we feel backstabbed, because I really honestly feel that if he would have got that MJ1 job, we would not be here.
You also, of course, have HBO saying that they were not going to acquiesce to the Jackson family. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference, they sent a letter to HBCU blasting them for their decision as well. President Charles Steele also highly criticized them. Other people have said that this documentary is unfair because it is extremely one-sided. Were any members of the Jackson family given an opportunity to respond to the filmmakers?
No, and the director even said that. He said that would have interfered with his storytelling. He didn't even give Brett Barnes, who's mentioned in the movie, his name smeared in the movie because it's implied that he replaced one of them as one of the kids. And Brett's a private citizen in Australia. He's actually looking into legal recourse right now. He sent a demand letter to both HBO and the production company, and they basically gave him the middle finger. So, that's what's not being reported, and so we're getting frustrated because there's an agenda in the media to make this. First of all, Michael Jackson, when Michael Jackson's name comes up, it sells. But when Michael Jackson's names come up with child molestation, it sells even better because negativity sells.
And so when you look at this conversation that Oprah is going to have later with the two individuals and the filmmaker, also the stories in the magazine, has anyone from the family reached out to her to say, oh, what are you doing?
That's I think the hard thing about it. We were dealing with this as a family, and then you hear stories of how she's on David Geffen's boat watching this on her birthday. And it's really, Oprah was one of the first interviews when my uncle passed that my grandma and the kids allowed. Mm-hmm. And she didn't give us that same respect, and that's what's so frustrating. When you have a one-sided documentary, at least you can get the other side. And she didn't even want to do that. And me, I'm a sexual abuse victim myself, not from my uncle, but from another uncle on my mom's side. And so I have a great perspective. I've reached out to people, and no one wants to hear it. So it's very frustrating.
What is next? Obviously, the family, I believe, filed a $100 million lawsuit against these filmmakers. What do you do now? Because obviously, your uncle Michael is dead. He can't defend himself. Yeah. You have the estate there as well. And so it really is left to his surviving family members to carry his torch and defend his name and honor.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to say one thing. The family's not filing suit. We actually have no legal recourse.
Okay.
You can't defame the dead. You can't slander the dead. You can't libel the dead. It's the Jackson estate, which is of my uncle's kids. So we don't get anything. We don't get anything out of anything. I'm just protecting my uncle's name because I know who he was, and so that because I saw a couple articles that misrepresented that, and I think that's been going around, in that way, and so I wanted to kind of stop that now. Family's not getting anything out of this.
Last question, when you think about the future, when you think about legacy, when you think about what happens 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, are you and others afraid that when the name Michael Jackson is mentioned, folks will not say one of the greatest entertainers ever, the king of pop? They will say Michael Jackson, pedophile.
No, because I do believe that the truth will come out. I do. It might take longer than we expected, but the truth is out there, and it will come out. I mean, there's already people, coming out and basically spilling some tea on Wade, because Wade's not as innocent as he pretends to be.
Taj Jackson, we appreciate you joining us at Roland Unfiltered. Thanks so much.
Roland, I really appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right. Go to our panel here. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, leadership strategist, author of How Exceptional Black Women Lead. Also, Michael Brown, of course, Democratic analyst as well. I have not seen Leaving Neverland. I was in Selma this weekend. My multiple flight delays, I didn't get to my house until 3:30 this morning, so I have not seen it. Michael, you've seen it. Avis, have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Michael, I'll start with you then. You saw part one. You heard Taj Jackson. Your thoughts?
Well, my heart, clearly goes out to the family. No one should have to go through something like this without a level of fairness or a level playing field. Clearly, in America, people can do documentaries, but just seem to, if you look at the R. Kelly one, they had psychiatrists, they had other people giving other sides of the story. And this one is just absolutely one-sided. They literally just talked to the men and their families. That's it. That's all they talked to. So I thought there was a level of unfairness that accompanied this particular documentary. But clearly some of the facts in there were just awful. It was terrible. And I was sorry to hear that. I mean, most people, certainly in my age group.
Well, not some of the facts that were offered. Some of the allegations that were offered.
Correct.
Because, again, Michael Jackson, Avis, was found not guilty when he went to court. Yes, you have the settlement with another gentleman, some $23 million as well, but a settlement is not an admission of guilt. What do you make, though, when you hear the Jackson family and then you see Oprah's involvement in the interviews in the O magazine, and then you have people who are saying, oh, absolutely, I'm going to stop listening to his music, he's a pedophile?
I do feel for the family because it does seem easy. It's easy to defame someone who's dead, to bring up allegations and form a sort of one-sided argument against someone who cannot defend themselves. Once again, I have not seen the documentary, but to me, if you're on a fact-finding mission, you would look to see both sides of the story and let the viewer be able to determine what makes sense, what sounds factual to you. If, on the other hand, you are presenting information only in a one-sided way, that to me suggests that there is an agenda there. And particularly with what we just learned in terms of what may be some sort of motivations behind a sort of change in attitude around this issue following employment problems or not getting a key job. Maybe that's some sort of motivation. I don't know, but it is sort of disturbing to me that there was not any care, it sounds like, putting into creating a more well-rounded presentation so that we could have some more confidence that we are really finding out facts rather than watching some sort of specific character assassination. I
want to go to Eugene Craig, who's joining us via Skype, Republican Strategies. Eugene, you've seen both parts of the documentary. I want to get your initial take on what you saw.
Yeah, I wasted 4 hours of my life watching both of those, both parts of it. It's a completely one-sided documentary. It has the likeness of a 4-hour smear ad campaign, essentially. I don't understand how you can go on a fact-finding mission or be concerned about telling a story and not tell complete parts of the story. I mean, one thing that's been consistent in every single legitimate or story with legitimate allegations of child molestation when it comes to celebrities is that there's always a defector from the camp. I mean, they had not one person from the Jackson camp that could, verify that some of these things happened. So it was a horrible documentary. I can't believe HBO wasted their airtime with it. I can't believe HBO put themselves at liability with it. There's a reason why, publishers went and touched the book. There's a reason why, most other companies went and touched this particular documentary. And the thing is, and the interesting thing about it is that this, Wade was willing to sell his access essentially to Michael Jackson and the time he spent with Michael Jackson, leveraging it to become an NSYNC's choreographer and Britney Spears' choreographer. And then as Todd said, the second he didn't get the job with MJ1, now we have this situation here. But I watched both parts of the documentary. It's, 4 hours wasted of my time.
Got it.
And shame on Oprah. I think there should be a conversation about canceling Michael Jackson. There should be a conversation about canceling Oprah Winfrey.
I want to ask you all about this.
For the sit-down discussion she's going to be leading later tonight.
I'm going to ask you this here. Mitchell sent this tweet out. Other people did as well. Michael, here we go to my iPad. Michael Jackson was under FBI surveillance for well over a decade. You don't see it. I don't understand why, but I'll try to replug it up. How about now? Do you see it? Okay, I'll just go ahead and read it. I'm not sure why it's not showing up. Okay. Michael Jackson was under FBI surveillance for well over a decade. They found nothing to substantiate claims of child abuse. He was also fully exonerated following his 2005 trial. Leaving Neverland fails to highlight these facts, and MJ is no longer here to defend himself. Now, what's also interesting is he sent this tweet. He said, last month, Elvis Presley received an all-star tribute to his life.
We all remember that time. We remember that time when there was a lot of pressure on Michael Jackson. If he was under FBI surveillance, trust and believe, if there was something there to be found, they would have moved on it. It's my belief.
Michael?
And it would have leaked.
Yeah.
And that was the first I've heard that. I didn't even know. What year was that, Roland? When was that?
That was, first of all, in 2009, the FBI released their Michael Jackson FBI file. Folks, if you actually go to actually, let me pull it up right here. Here we go to my iPad. If you go to vault.fbi.gov, you will actually see the FBI files there on Michael Jackson. And so you'll see what they have here. And I'm going to read this here. Michael Jackson, 1958 to 2009, was a famous singer and entertainer. Between 1993 and 1994, and separately between 2004 and 2005, Jackson was investigated by California law enforcement agencies for possible child molestation. He was acquitted of all such charges. The FBI provided technical and investigative assistance to these agencies during the cases. The Bureau also investigated threats made against Mr. Jackson and others by an individual who was later in prison for these crimes. These investigations occurred between 1992 and 2005. So folks, when they say 10 years, they clearly they're talking about the threats, but they were involved in the previous terms of those two cases. Now, I'm going to pull up something here because Vanity Fair did a story where they said that that there were fingerprints that were found on pornographic material in Michael Jackson's bedroom, where his fingerprints and the fingerprints of children were right next to each other on these magazines. Michael, then Eugene.
Well, and then back to that second tweet related to Elvis. Yeah, absolutely. All the rumors and fact about him dating and marrying underage girls and taking them across state line, but also about all the music from African Americans that he stole. Yeah. So, I mean, there's several pieces that just makes this whole thing unfair when you're talking about music icons. But clearly, we still live in America.
Eugene?
Yeah, the thing is this, right? Part of the investigation with threats made about Michael Jackson was him having to allow the FBI to some degree into his life.
Also, let me say this here. Also, the documents, when I'm talking about Radar Online, they have absolutely horrible credibility on anything that they report. They get more stuff wrong than I've ever seen in my life. Eugene, go ahead.
And so the thing is this, right? So you have two FBI investigations, and particularly with this particular case, you have a gentleman who, I think if we're having discussions about law enforcement, he should be, if he's going in this documentary and saying that he, essentially perjured himself not once but twice, bring perjury charges up, send him to jail. Send him to jail. Let him get in the stand and say, yeah, I perjured myself, and then present evidence to support that. But the thing is this, Oprah should be shaming herself for giving these two a platform, because the issue is this. The documentary by itself is illegitimate.
Got it.
Her lending her name to the story starts to legitimize it.
That's it. All right, then. All right, well, Leaving Neverland Part 2 airs tonight, and so we'll see what the fallout's going to be tomorrow. Let's talk a little politics. Former Attorney General Eric Holder announced today he is not running for president, but in an opinion piece published in the Washington Post, he wrote that he would focus on stopping the gerrymandering that disenfranchises certain citizens and added, quote, "We must restore the core of our democracy and protect voting rights. There's nothing more fundamental to the well-being of our nation than the right to cast a ballot in fair elections, free from foreign interference. The Republican Party has used voter ID laws, gerrymandering, and purging of the voter rolls to undermine that right while doing nothing to protect our electoral system from another foreign attack. We must reconstruct the Voting Rights Act to ensure that every American has a full and equal say in our democracy. This is a defining civil rights issue of our time. Now today, the Breakfast Club, they aired an interview they did with Senator Bernie Sanders. Of course, he is officially running for president. He of course, filed as a Democrat, but he also filed to seek his Senate position as an independent, which is causing Democrats to say, like, dude, what the hell? Over the weekend, he announced from his hometown of Brooklyn, about 13,000 folks were there to, of course, help him out, of course, but he needs, of course, black folks if he wants to win this nomination. And so he went on the Breakfast Club, and Charlamagne the God asked this key question to Bernie Sanders.
Now, does Bernie Sanders, this is a question that we've been asking of all Democrats, does Bernie Sanders have an agenda for black people?
Absolutely.
What is it?
All right. Look, we start off, as I mentioned, with massive disparity in the general population.
Mm-hmm.
Very few have a lot. Most people have nothing. Then you got another form of disparity, which is a wealth disparity. All right. So right now, you have the white community, the average white family, owning 10 times more wealth than the average black family. You have a health disparity. Infant mortality rates in the black community, I think 2.5 times what they are in the white community. You got an education disparity. We talked about a criminal justice disparity, where African Americans are much more likely to be arrested and put in jail. Those are disparities that have got to be addressed. There is a friend of mine, Jim Clyburn of South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
And Representative Clyburn came up with an idea, which I think we should build on. He called it 10-20-30, which says that you focus federal resources on those communities most in distress. And at the same time, you got to deal with institutional racism. I remember redlining, for example. Mm-hmm. If you're a small business person, I talked to a guy in Milwaukee last year, and he had, it seems to be a moderately successful business. I said, Bernie, I'm going, black guy, I'm going to the banks. I can't get a loan. So we got to deal with racism and discrimination within the financial services committee, within the financial services industry. You got payday lenders. My God, unbelievable. You know what the interest rate for the, and they rip it off on the most vulnerable and poorest people. So to answer your question, we do have an agenda. And it's an agenda that we will fight vigorously for.
All right. What y'all think?
Where's the agenda? It sounded like random rambling. I mean, he brought up real issues. He talked about the wealth disparity. He talked about financial services industry. But I don't see any specific policy proposals, although I have to tell you that's not surprising to me because he spent nearly 30 years in Congress without passing specific policies. So my challenge with him is that he comes up with, you know, he says things that resonates with people because they're based in truth, but if you look at his history of actually producing legislation and leading legislation that has led to change on anything, it's a very, 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 very thin record.
Michael, that was one of the things that when Congresswoman Karen Bass, the chair of the CBC, was here, she actually said it. She said, okay, where are the bills? What has he done? What has he advanced?
Interesting question, and that's why he was struggling to answer. And it's a little odd. Obviously, you're running for office. You're going on an African-American show. You know you're going to get that question. It seems like you'd be more prepared, at least to run down. Even if you didn't write the laws, you can say what you voted for. He didn't even do that. So he's struggling, and clearly, and it's going to be different. The table before with Senator Sanders and Hillary, you know, made it, you had a clear choice. Now, you have other people that are going to pull from that supposed base that Bernie Sanders has. So I don't know how formidable he'll be. He's not going to be the Democratic nominee.
But, Eugene, here is also the difference. You've had the former Colorado governor who announced today he's running for president. You might have literally 4 or 5 more people run. It could be anywhere from 15 to 18 people, which means that the Democratic primary could look like the Republicans in 2016. Remember, Donald Trump did not need 51% to win the primaries. Whoever is able to win, frankly, 30 with this many candidates, you pick up 30%, 32, 35, you win.
Yeah. I agree 100% with you. I actually have a new theory that's developing. I think Joe Biden's going to get in, but I think the reason he runs is not to be president of the United States. I think the reason he runs is to block Bernie Sanders. Think of this. Bernie doesn't have a black agenda, which is wild, which is crazy, being that he spent the last 3 or 4 years running for president. You would think that this, entering this race, he would have a well-defined black agenda. And I also don't think it's a coincidence that he's filed for re-election. He also expects that he's not going to be the Democrat nominee and probably will be forced to drop out eventually, and will have to turn around and run for re-election. But yes, I do agree that you're going to have a situation where the person's not going to need the 50%, 40-50%, and it's not going to be a replay of 2016 where it's 1-on-1 between him and Clinton. So what you're going to see is people win primaries with 25-30%, and Bernie may be somewhat banking on that. But I also have a question of, hey, where does he get his first initial win? Maybe New Hampshire, but if Biden's in a race, that's also a blocker for him. I think after California and Texas on Super Tuesday, Kamala has this as a runaway.
Look, I think when you look at this, first of all, supporters of Bernie Sanders will say, absolutely, he's got that agenda. This weekend, Nina Turner, who's co-chair of his campaign, she was one of the folks who spoke at his rally. Sean King, activist, he also spoke at the rally talking about Bernie Sanders, his background and his history. Yankee Uger did a video this weekend where he was highly critical of Bakari Sellers, a commentator on CNN, for saying that the ship has sailed on Bernie Sanders getting the black vote. The reality is this here. And we're in early March. It's March 4th. You're not going to see many candidates. And people got mad when I said this about Senator Kamala Harris, but these are also people who don't understand a damn thing about politics. Right. Okay? So let me say it again. All the people who go, oh, where's this plan, beyond just African Americans, you're not going to see candidates throwing out plans right now because first, and again, let me educate those who don't know a damn thing about politics. First of all, you don't know who's all running.
True.
The field has not been set. I'm going to use sports for a reason. When teams put together game plans, okay, when they have a game plan, what those very teams do is they want to see who's going to be the starting quarterback this Sunday. Because their game plan is, who do you prepare for? Now, if there's an uncertainty, they prepare for 2. Well, the reality is you prepare for 1. So that's the first thing. So the field hasn't been set. You're not going to see extensive plans, white papers, whatever you want to call them, from these candidates because of that. 2, the first debate, I believe, I saw something about June. Or July. So you're not going to see anybody really get specific because right now, you're in the stage of, I'm trying to get people to know who I am. I read a story in Politico where it was like, oh, Kamala Harris, she's out there, and so, so she should be specific. Amy Klobuchar, oh my goodness, her former staff members say she was like a terror. You're in the stage of people who are not known entities.
Right.
Bernie Sanders is different because he ran for president in 2016. He ran across the country. His name ID is a lot higher. And so I think what's going to happen is you're going to see all these candidates talk in general, not offer specifics, and then once the field gets set, once we know if O'Rourke is running, once we know if Biden is running, once we know if Senator Sherrod Brown is running, and then all of a sudden, right before that debate, then it's going to be, okay, now it's game on. Michael, that is, I think, how this thing is going to play out, and you're seeing it right now.
It's absolutely correct, and I think what you'll see, it'll be interesting to see how this is where the chairman of the party really can play a role. Now, it's diminished a lot. When my father was chair back then, and the Lee Atwater for the RNC, my father for the DNC, those were really strong chairs. If you remember back in '88, there were a whole lot of people running. Rockefeller, Senator Harkin, Gephardt, people all over the place. Clinton,
Gore, a lot of folks.
And the chairman at the time said, you know what? We're going to get you through maybe late spring, and then we're cutting everybody, and we're going to pick who it is. And that's what he did. He said Bill Clinton's going to beat Bush. And he made the decision. Whether Chairman Perez or not will be able to do that, I don't know. It certainly didn't happen on the Republican side.
No.
Trump just beat him to death in 16.
No, it's not going to happen. First of all, Avis, it's not going to happen because Tom Perez is scared to death of any criticism of putting his thumb on the scale. He's going to allow this thing to play out. The thing that's going to be interesting, though, is what Senator Chuck Schumer does. As I saw a piece today in the New York Times, because here's the piece. The Democrats have a very good shot at taking back the Senate, but they need strong candidates.
Yeah.
You've got folks, like, for instance, the governor of Montana, I ain't never heard of him, y'all, okay? he really believes that he should run for president. And according to the New York Times story, his wife has said, I'm not interested in moving to D.C. unless you're president. They're like, dude, run for the United States Senate.
Yeah.
And so Schumer is going to be in a position of calling people saying, you know your ass can't win.
Right.
So I don't know why you're still running. Because, look, between now, when those debates come up, and then you start getting to August, September, October, November, you're going to have early voting in California, Iowa caucus. Look, if you're down at the bottom, and you're down there at 1%, 2%, 0.5%, you might need to get the hell out of the race instead of taking up space. And if there are people who actually can be better Senate candidates, you want strong Senate candidates.
Absolutely. I mean, whoever, if hopefully the Democrats win, it would make such a huge difference if they also had a Senate that they could work with, right? And so this is an important goal. But I am concerned, as you mentioned, I don't know that Tom Perez has the strength as a leader to really go out there and do what needs to be done, particularly with the whole sort of Bernie bro atmosphere around, oh my God, we were so wrong last time. And the fact, and let's also be real about this, I really also believe that the Russian interference is out there, not just generally. I believe that it is specifically tuned into helping the Bernie camp. So this is a challenge that the Democratic Party has to sort of live up to and acknowledge and be willing to speak out loud.
This is very simple, Eugene. This is the last point before I go to a break. This is very simple. From the Democratic standpoint, first of all, people need to stop assuming Trump is going to lose. He's the incumbent. He's going to have the advantage of being the incumbent. Republicans are going to solidify around him because they like power. What you're going to see. The question is going to be, are you going to have those same Democrats who voted for Obama continue voting for Trump? Are you going to have white women wake the hell up and realize, oh my God, we screwed up in 2016? No. Are you going to have independents who are going towards him? But I got to say this here. These black people who are not Blexic, who I see on Twitter and on YouTube and Facebook and Periscope saying some of the most dumbass stuff I've ever heard in my life by saying, well, I'm fine for another 4 years of Trump. They have no idea what he is doing to the federal bench. They have no idea that when you talk about filing a lawsuit and based upon who that judge is, you're not going to have a shot. If you're pissed off at our lead story, Stephon Clarke, as well as Terrence Crutcher, guess what? It's a Trump Department of Justice. And so so again, all these folks who are saying that, they don't know a damn thing about politics, because the nation is not just based upon, oh, why is him, it's no big deal. No, it's every agency, every department, and then that money that goes, then what happens to the states and the rules and the procedures and all those different things that has an impact on who is sitting in the Oval Office.
It's $4 trillion every single year spent. Determined, figured out how it's going to be distributed. It is the federal bench. It's, hey, okay, you have a Department of Justice that will file civil rights charges. Okay, what is that, that judge or that appellate court or even the Supreme Court going to do? And how they're going to roll? What most people have to understand is that most cases get, dealt with at the federal or appellate level. And so the federal judges that are appointed, federal judges that are confirmed by the Senate absolutely matters. It's, hey, how's the president going to use his executive authority? Is how the president's, the vastness of the executive branch of the federal government is huge. Yep. It's monstrous. And people that think that, Trump, another 4 years of Trump is okay, they're just oblivious to what's going on.
Let me go ahead and I'm going to end it this way. And to ZARP on YouTube.
Oh, Jesus.
Here we go, the lecture. I'm not fine with another 4 years of Trump, but we can walk and chew gum at the same time. No, it's not a damn lecture. It's called some stuff you don't even understand. I mean, I see the comments. I see the idiotic comments from people who literally say, if I don't need reparations, I'm fine with Trump. Okay, here's my question. Is Trump going to sign that bill? I'll wait. See, if you say this one thing I don't get, if it's woman of education, then what if you don't get it? No, it's understanding that not one issue, multiple issues, not just even one job. It's not even just the appointing of the federal judges. You got to understand, Republicans are railroading folks through. It is literally a track meet. Because I need y'all to understand this. And when I play these clips from Selma, y'all gonna understand this. Do you understand that after Brown... See, let me just go ahead for all y'all out here who don't know history. See, I wasn't really trying to go here. I was really trying to go to this break so I could read this ad. But I need y'all to understand something. There were 2 Brown versus Board of Education rulings. Brown 1 was 1954. Brown 2 was 1955. What you also don't understand, and it was the federal courts that was the lower courts that was left to figure out Brown versus Board of Education. These are facts. Do you understand that law was created as a result of Brown versus Board of Education? Injunctions did not exist. That was a creation of the federal bench because you had folks in those southern states who they would have a ruling in a court in the morning, and some legislatures would pass a new law in the afternoon. And they would go back to court the next morning to get an injunction against that law. It happened in Louisiana, in Mississippi, in Virginia, in South Carolina, happened all those places. What I'm trying to lay out to you is it was the federal bench, the federal judges who were making those rulings, who were saying, Mississippi, you can't do this. Alabama, you can't do this. Georgia, you can't do this. And so for all y'all sitting here who are saying, it's no big deal, they are putting people on the federal bench. They put on one woman who is 35 years old, 11 years out of law school. They are putting people, one dude had never in his life, I need y'all to hear me, Donald Trump, aided by Senator Mitch McConnell, put a dude on a federal bench who had never in his life filed a legal motion. I ain't a lawyer. I ain't never filed a legal motion. I got as much experience as that fool. And some of y'all are saying, yeah, okay, that's fine. No. Do the math. We're 24 years away. I told y'all, we're 24 years away from America being a nation that is majority people of color, 2043. That judge who is 35, do y'all know how old she gonna be in 2043? 59. Most federal judges serve today in their 70s and 80s. So let me do the math for y'all. If that one woman who's 35, if she's going to be 59 by 2043, let's say she stays on the bench until she is 80, which is, look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay? Look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Numbers don't lie. That means that this one woman will be a federal judge until the year 2064.
Jesus.
That means that when America becomes a nation, majority people of color, she will serve, if she serves till she's 80, she might live longer. She will be serving another generation, another 21 years. And some of y'all are fine with that. Now, I know some people out there going, Roland, you saying vote Democratic. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm saying don't vote for his ass. When I'm saying don't sit the hell at home and let him get reelected. I want y'all to go listen to Reverend Jackson's 1984 speech at the Democratic National Convention. I want y'all to go listen to Reverend Jackson's speech at the 1988 Democratic National Convention and listen to him talk about leadership. Listen to him talk about moral authority. Listen to him talk about character and why that matters. Listen to him say he would rather have FDR in a wheelchair than Reagan on a horse. What you have right now literally are grifters in the White House.
You got that right.
Individuals who have no problem taking whatever. This is the Trump administration right here. Zoom out. Zoom out. This is the Trump administration. Shit, I can grab this. I can grab this. I can grab this. Here, why don't you take this? That's what you got going on right now.
That's true.
And we got folks who are sitting here saying, I'm not going to vote. It don't matter. You lost your damn mind. Now, it's 2019. The election's not until 2020. But I'm telling you right now, black folks better wake the hell up and realize that this attack ain't on illegal immigrants. It's not about undocumented workers. What you have going on right in here is an attack on people of color. And he is pressing the buttons. He is aided by Fox News. He is aided by conservative talk radio because there is fear of black and brown people. There is fear of the takeover of America. And they want to hold on to this power as long as they can. So some of y'all can sit here and attack other black folks and attack people who say, I'm not going to support this man. But I'm telling you something right now. You will rue the day if you got to deal with another 4 years of this madman sitting in the Oval Office. I'm just saying, don't be stuck on stupid. And don't sit here and act like what's happening does not matter. Because trust me, the right, they know the importance of those federal judges.
Oh, good Lord, yeah.
Why do you think they fight so hard to get them? Why do you think they held open that seat that Merrick Garland was supposed to have? Why do you, and also Obama should have appointed a black woman. Why do you think that they are ignoring the blue slips? Why do you think that they weren't so concerned about losing the House, but they damn sure didn't want to lose the Senate? Because they know the courts in America decide law. Last one for you. A civil rights law was passed in 1875. 8 years later, the United States Supreme Court in 1883 overruled that Civil Rights Act, and they said civil rights is really up to the states, and the 1883 Supreme Court forbid Congress from banning segregation. The United States Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. Don't think for a second Republicans don't want to use that as a weapon to take their views and their values and make it law in America, not for the next 4 years, not for the next 10 years, but literally for the next 100 years. Don't get it twisted. Going to the break. We'll be back in a moment. Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. All right, folks, beginning of the year, of course, I participated in the D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse, and of course, it was about losing some weight. It's about getting healthier. I got to get my golf game because, see, I got to take more of Michael's money. And so for a lot of us, we lose weight for various reasons. We want to feel better. We want to look better. But at the end of the day, it also comes down to your health. D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse is a way for you to do that, a way for you to actually cleanse your body, remove the toxic stuff, all the bad stuff that you've been eating. It's about, again, basically restarting and also changing yourself mentally in terms of how you approach eating the foods that you want to eat, whether it's fresh fruits and whether it's vegetables, whether it's water, things along those lines. And so we want you to participate in that if you want to, and we appreciate them being a partner with us. And so you can go to dherbs.com, and that is you can try the Full Body Cleanse. They have 27 different cleanses. So I did the 20-day cleanse. I previously did the 10-day cleanse, and so you can try the different ones. You can go to dherbs.com, use the promo code Roland to get a discount when you check out. You can also, though, call 866-4D-HERBS, 866-4D-HERBS. Now, it's been 5 or 6 weeks since I finished it, but how it changed my thinking in terms of what I ate, when I ate, and how I ate also is critically important. So go to dherbs.com or call 866-4D-HERBS. Don't forget to use the promo code Roland if you want to get that discount. And so again, we thank D-Herbs for being a partner of the show. And also, this is a black-owned company. Remember that, okay? Brother who started this, CEO, he's a brother. And so we also want to support black-owned businesses. All right, folks, this weekend, we were Roland Martin Unfiltered. We were in Selma for the 54th annual Selma Jubilee, which commemorates Bloody Sunday. There were all kinds of events taking place, various workshops, also the Poor People's Campaign. They had a town hall on Friday. They had the Freedom Flame Awards taking place Saturday night. And then, of course, the service at Brown Chapel AME that took place on Sunday, where Senator Cory Booker was the keynote speaker. The prayer breakfast was that morning. They honored former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Then there was a march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And so we were there for all of that. This we're about to show is a recap of that. If you want to see all the coverage, go to our YouTube channel. We live stream the entire weekend, so we want you to go check it out. So go to youtube.com/Roland Martin. Here's the recap, though, of what took place in Selma this weekend.
He said, the whole history of the anti-slavery movement is studied with proof that all measures devised and executed with a view to allow and diminish the anti-slavery agitation has only served to increase, intensify, and embolden that agitation. I want to just suggest at the end of this that all that's going on, Trump and his lies about voting and all in these states and the voter suppression, maybe this season we're in might be the last link in the necessary chain of events, Lord have mercy, to lead to the kind of coalition and resistance in this moment for the overthrow of the full system of racism. Because the truth of the matter is, every time there has been an attempt to stop justice, there's always been a people that instead of stopping them, it emboldened them. It emboldened them. It emboldened them and increased their agitation. I suggest today we ought to be emboldened. And I suggest today we ought to be agitated. And I suggest today we ought to come together. Lawyers, sue like hell in the court. Those of us that can't go in the court, march and protest like hell in the street. Push our legislators and our congressmen. For this might be the moment that was necessary to wake us up again.
I also need you to vote in every election. Every election. What has happened is we have allowed our system of voting and our thinking about what our responsibility is to be hijacked by the presidential election. Now, the presidential election, if you don't know how important it is by now, I can't even help you, because What we are living through right now is evidence that the presidential election is critical and important, and you have no excuse for not participating in the primary and in the general election. We have lots of candidates running on one side, one candidate running on the other side. Let's hear the policies. Let's not put this into personalities. Let's hear the policies. Let's hear the vision they have for our country. That's what we want. And you got to vote in that election. But here's the news. Elections in this country do not happen every 4 years. Elections happen every year. There are elections this year wherever you live. There are municipal elections coming up in the city of Montgomery, Alabama. City council and mayor. I need you to vote. The probate judge was just here. You know what happens on election day when we come out and we man the polls and we have problems? People bring the wrong voting machine to the black polling place. You know who we have to call? The probate judge. So if you're in the election booth and you vote for the president and you vote for the governor and you vote for the senator and you vote for Representative Sewell and then you see the probate judge election, you say, I don't know them. That's a problem. So wherever you live, and call your cousins and your family and tell them every election, the school board, the county commission, the probate judge, the railroad commissioner, the constable, the justices of the peace, every election, we have given away our power. Even you who chastise young people and tell them how people died on the bridge, you don't even vote in every election. Because when you see the DAs, you don't even know who they are. It's time out for that. Now we have to vote in every election if we're to honor those who came before us. And finally, let me just say that you know that the scripture says that faith without works is dead. And so if you are a believer, it is your obligation to engage in the work of justice, to engage in the work of peace, to engage in the work of truth. Those of us who have dedicated our lives to doing this work every day, we don't ask you to do it every day. We just ask you to show up in the moments when you can make a difference. And never let anyone tell you that you can't make a difference. You can make a difference. And if we are to honor the Bernard Lafayettes, and the Viola Liozos, and the John Lewises, and the Thurgood Marshalls, and the Constance Baker Motleys, if we are to truly honor them, then we should be able to ask ourselves, give yourself a 1-month check, past 30 days, what did I do to advance the work that those who came before me did to make it possible for us to sit together like this, looking like we do in this church in peace. It is our sacred obligation as citizens of this country, as people of faith, as African-American people who were brought to this land in shackles. It is our obligation.
We've gathered today because if the lion is unable to tell his own story, the hunter will. We must tell the truth. We've come to Brown Chapel and to Selma every year because this is the place that truth spoke loudly to America. For truth is what love looks like in public. Truth walked out of this church towards a bridge that brought out this nation's unrelenting commitment to racialized oppression through state-sanctioned violence. And here we are today, as the Department of Justice has failed twice this past week to defend black life from state-sanctioned violence. We must tell the truth. We must tell the truth after we have received reports of abuse of migrant children in state-sanctioned cages. We must tell the truth. We must tell the truth as 2.5 million people are incarcerated in this country. We must tell the truth. We must tell the truth that there are food deserts in Selma, Alabama. We must tell the truth. We must tell the truth that African Americans still in this country are twice the unemployment rate in this country. We must tell the truth.
There is no way we can get to an economy that works for everybody, that produces good jobs and rising incomes and inclusive prosperity if we don't protect the right to vote. There is no way we can have guaranteed quality, affordable health care if we don't protect the right to vote. There is no way we can deal with any problem, whatever it is that you are worried about, if we don't protect the right to vote, and then if people don't get up and actually go to vote. And when you heard the report from the LDF, I hope you paid attention. Because I was in the Senate. Sherrod was there. I'm not sure if you were there yet, Corey, but we were there when we passed in the United States Senate 98-0 the reauthorization of the Voting Rights Act. We had a Republican president, George W. Bush, who said he would sign it, and he did. It was based on thousands and thousands of pages of testimony as to why we still, as a nation devoted to the law and liberty that should guarantee every one of us equality, needed the Voting Rights Act. I thought it was a done deal. Passed out of the Congress, signed by a Republican president, and then it found its way to the Supreme Court, because I want you to just never forget, there is an other side in America, and they never give up. They never quit. They're never discouraged. They are motivated every single day to try to pull back rights, to try to suppress rights, to try to prevent people from fulfilling their own God-given potential. And so they did go to work. And when they went to work, they found a receptive Supreme Court who came up with the most absurd decision. There are a lot of absurd decisions, but this is, in many ways, the most absurd. The Congress is supposed to legislate based on evidence and facts, which we did, and then it gets up to the Supreme Court, and they say, oh, you don't need that anymore. We don't need that voting rights stuff. You don't have to hold states and municipalities accountable. We're beyond all that now. What nonsense. Absolute absurd nonsense. And what was the result? They gutted the Voting Rights Act. I was the first person who ran for president without the protection of the Voting Rights Act, and I will tell you, it makes a really big difference.
Give a special nod to the Reverend Jesse Jackson, not just because he's Reverend clergy, but because he's the first person I ever voted for. I was 18 years old in 1988. Football player at Stanford University, and I cast my first vote of my life for the man to my left, and I want to thank him for being a trailblazer in my life. I want to remind you that this church gathered in this sanctuary at a time that they were making it illegal for black folk to gather together. That's right. And even though it was illegal, on the day of the march, folk gathered here together, understanding that when 2 or 3 are gathered together in his name, he is in the midst. But it was 600 that came together that knew that in that unity is strength. That in the midst of raging hate, you can still form a sanctuary of love, that you can still form a beloved community. They gathered as a testimony that the true definition of hope is not allowing despair to ever have the last word. And together in unity, they began their march across a bridge, together in courage, together in faith, together in a love that was not a feeling but a verb, a love that demands sacrifice and action. They marched together across that bridge. And they marched into history. I want to take a step back and let you know that we are here because of that stubborn, defiant love. We are here. I was one of those young boys growing up. My parents got upset walking around like I had somehow earned the privileges of my time. My dad is like, boy, don't you walk around this house like you hit a triple. You were born on third base. My parents brought me up knowing I owed a debt. You mentioned all my degrees. My dad was like, boy, you got more degrees in the month of July, but you ain't hot. Life ain't about the degrees you get. It's about the service that you give.
Again, folks, you want to see the full speech by Senator Cory Booker, go to Roland Martin, go to my Roland Martin Unfiltered YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. Real quick, final comments. Michael.
I can't wait for 2020. Hopefully, during the Democratic nomination process, we pick somebody and 2 people. You know, I've said I'm a Biden-Harris person because I think they check all the boxes.
Well, you know, the bottom line is that we have to get out here and vote. I agree. We don't have time to be messing around. We just need to make sure that people understand the importance of this election, take it seriously, and make sure that our voices are heard.
Who do I want? Hashtag team whip that ass. That's what I want. That's a cool I need hashtag team TEAMWHIPDATASS. Team whip that ass.
All right now.
I'm telling you, the only way you're going to beat Trump is if you ready to swing. Now, if you got somebody who's trying to run and they ain't ready to swing, not get all that Obama hope, make you feel good. No. You need somebody who's going to swing, who's going to say, you lying again, lying again. And y'all can go ahead and use my hashtag Trump Lives Matter. And if y'all want to talk to them crazy white folks who losing their damn farms because of the tariff deal, y'all can use hashtag we tried to tell you. Go right ahead. I give you liberties to use it. But I'm telling you right now, for black folks, sit your ass at home, no whining and complaining. Say, oh my God, I don't have all my issues addressed. You're stuck on stupid.
Yeah, take a
and then when you're getting screwed by folks, I tell you what I say. If you don't vote, shut the hell up. Simple as that. Y'all want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Friday, we're going to roll the video of all the folks who have given to us, so we certainly look forward to that. If you want your name on that, go to the website right now. You can give via the Cash app, PayPal, Square as well. You can give monthly. You can give, of course, at one time. But every single dollar goes to support us going to Selma. We got some other trips planned for this month. Because, see, unlike a whole bunch of, go ahead and drop the music. Let me just go into this last one. And I didn't really mean to go here. I know we're over our time, but I got to go ahead and say this. It's a whole bunch of sorry-ass people who call themselves new black media, who all they do is sit behind a damn camera and behind a desk, and you ain't never seen them at any black events. Let me just go ahead and say that, okay? See, I don't just stand behind this table. I actually go out and talk to people, actually go to places like Selma, go to Montgomery, go to Birmingham, go where folks are. See, that's what we do on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So the rest of y'all out here who call yourselves new black media, why don't y'all do what old black media did? Get the hell up and go actually talk to black people and not just behind a microphone. Go actually cover something. Bring the cameras where the people are and talk to the people. Because, see, some folks play at this. I chose at 14 to be a journalist. I don't play at this, okay? This is what I committed my life to do. And so that's why we want you to support what we do, because we're about covering our story from our perspective and not just sitting here just chat, don't cover nothing. So for those of you, we want to be able to fund folks to be on the campaign trail, be out there doing interviews with people as well. And so that's what our focus is. So that's how we roll on this show. And if there's some of you out there who didn't like my commentary on this very issue today, I don't really give a damn if you didn't, because you know why? You ain't a real journalist, and I am. Holla.
Oh, damn.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.